You ever walk up to your house, expecting to see your whole life just sitting there only to find nothing but a pile of rubble and a grinning HOA president waiting for you with a clipboard? Yeah, that happened. My name's Owen Hayes, and my $3.2 million mountain home just vanished while I was away on business for 3 lousy days. I mean, one minute I'm presenting at a conference in Denver, next thing I know, I'm standing in what used to be my driveway, breathing in dust and drywall, looking at Margaret White, the so-called HOA president's got a smile on her face like she just won the lottery. She goes, "Owen, honey, we had to demolish your property for unpaid fines." Unpaid fines? I never even got a notice. She's flashing some paperwork around, acting official, but right away I feel in my gut something's way off. And then, right there in the wreckage, I pick up an orange prescription bottle that flips this whole thing on its head. Let me back up a sec, because I promise you, this story is about to go completely off the rails. So, I'm standing there, watching my home of 2 years get shoveled into trucks, and Margaret's bouncing like an excited kid with her folder of documents. "Insurance will cover everything, once you pay those outstanding fines," she chirps. Meanwhile, the prescription bottle in my hand is for someone named Michael Thompson, filled 6 months ago by a clinic in Denver. Margaret's face goes pale when she spots it, mumbling something about medical waste. Since when does an HOA president deal with medical waste? I ask to see all the paperwork, and she shoves a folder in my face. It's thick with notices, violation reports, emergency orders. But the addresses? Wrong state, Sacramento, California. And the violations? Stuff like unauthorized fence color. Sure, I painted my fence green last year, but I never got so much as a warning. The signature on the demolition order looks fake as monopoly money. And the safety violation? I had my place professionally inspected 3 months back. No issues. Margaret keeps pressing, "You can appeal, Owen, but you'll need to pay the fines and demo costs, around 40 grand. For a fence color?" I pull out my phone and start recording. I get the demolition, the fake papers, Margaret fidgeting like she's standing on a trapdoor. She doesn't like it. "This is private HOA business," she hisses. "But we're on a public street, and last I checked, my property rights aren't up for grabs." I pocket the prescription bottle, and a big demolition guy sidles over, confused. "Ma'am, we found a lot of personal stuff. Are you sure the owner signed off?" Margaret's voice jumps an octave. "He was notified months ago." The guy looks at me, shaking his head. "Did you know this was happening?" I barely open my mouth before Margaret shoves back in, but the guy walks off, clearly wanting no part of this circus. So now the demo crews leave. I'm standing there, Margaret sweating in the mountain air, and I realize this bottle might be the key to the whole mess. "Margaret, I'm going to file a police report," I tell her. She snaps back. "You can't. We have full authority." But her hands are shaking, and her voice sounds like a violin string about to snap. And here's the kicker. I never signed any HOA agreements. My deed specifically states this property isn't under any HOA jurisdiction. Either Margaret's confused or she's running a scam. By sunset, she's out of there in her white sedan. Vanity plate, HOA Queen. Subtle, right? She yells, 30 days or we take further action. What's left me rental car. The next morning, with coffee in hand, I'm on the phone with my lawyer, Nancy, who's dealt with property scams for 20 years. She reviews Margaret's documents and laughs. Addresses are wrong. Citations don't exist. Emergency orders are fake. She's committing fraud, Owen. Full stop. While Nancy preps charges, I decide to dig into this Michael Thompson thing. The clinic can't give me info, HIPAA and all that, but the fact his meds were hidden in my basement tells me he's got some connection to my house. That's when I remember Beckamy, old college friend, now a forensic accountant. "Mind if I check the HOA's financials?" she says. An hour later, she's back. No such association is registered. The only Aspen Peaks Community Association account is a personal one, in Margaret's name, with deposits over $200,000. 200 grand. How many people has she hit up with this scam? I start knocking on doors. The elderly couple nearby have a shoebox of receipts. Margaret's been collecting $50 a month for 3 years, Mandatory. The veteran next door? Paid over $2,000 for fake violations truck in the driveway. Mailbox too old, grass too long. Another neighbor, a single mom, breaks down showing me a bill for $1,500 because her kids' bikes weren't properly stored. Every neighbor I talk to has been paying Margaret for something: monthly fees, bogus fines, threats about condemnation. I bring up the prescription bottle to the veteran. He frowns. Michael Thompson? Margaret's son, maybe? She hasn't mentioned him in years. Used to brag he became a doctor. Then poof, never talked about him again. The dots start connecting. Becky calls again. Margaret's ramped up her scam over 3 years, from $30,000 to $100,000 this year, gambling most of it away online. I build an informal network: the veteran, the elderly lady, the single mom, a few more. We share stories, keep an encrypted group chat, start documenting everything. Notices, payments, patterns. The elderly lady Sunshine, I call her, remembers family photos of Margaret and her son that disappeared a decade back. She hints the falling out was over family values. Now, as Margaret's getting more desperate, she shows up at my rental, waving fresh violations: wrong car, unmaintained, rubble, hostile attitude. She's basically making things up on the spot, snapping pictures of my coffee cup. My group quickly records her harassing an elderly man for a $500 lawn ornament violation, a garden gnome. For crying out loud. We step in, document it as elder abuse. Our network realizes Margaret's scam is systematic, targeting the vulnerable, escalating demands, using intimidation and fake legalese. And then, Sunshine remembers seeing someone visiting my old property late at night about 6 months ago. Now, the prescription bottle's date lines up. Michael Thompson, Margaret's son, was using my basement as a refuge, afraid to face his mother after being disowned for coming out as gay. Margaret demolished my house to erase his hiding spot. I track down Michael, now Dr. Thompson, at Denver Children's. He admits he'd been sneaking back to the neighborhood, using my vacant house for emotional shelter, working up the nerve to see Margaret. I left that bottle there, he tells me, voice cracking, because I just couldn't go home. The demolition, he realizes, killed any hope for reconciliation. Margaret isn't done. She launches digital attacks, fake reviews, photoshopped vandalism, anonymous reports to my landlord and business. But my cybersecurity friend traces everything straight back to Margaret's home IP, even finds invoices for fake social media posts. Her campaign gets so sloppy she links fake profiles to her main email. It's a digital confession. Michael, seeing what she's doing to me, decides to come back publicly. We prep for Margaret's last stand. The neighbors are ready, the news is watching. Margaret tries to have my rental condemned, vandalizes my car, scatters threats, but the authorities, now fully involved, see right through it. She goes after the elderly veteran, spreading garbage, spray painting HOA violator. That's the final straw. The whole neighborhood rallies, sets up a real watch group. Teens track her online. Single mom leads meetings. The veteran organizes security checks. Margaret doubles down: fake curfews, fake emergencies, threatening outside agitators. But the cameras are rolling. Michael shows up with childhood photos, walks straight up to Margaret, and says, "I came back to heal our family, Mom." She's floored. For a moment, just a mother seeing her son again. Then she spots the neighbors filming and erupts in a fury. And right then, I reveal my own secret because, see, I'm not just some random guy she bullied. I'm Jefferson County Commissioner. Oversight of HOA fraud is my job. I call a community meeting, present the whole mountain of evidence, and Margaret's world crumbles in front of the people she's hurt. Her fake treasurer and secretary bail on her. The county attorney files charges on the spot, and law enforcement walks her out in cuffs. Michael hands her that prescription bottle. "I left this in Owen's basement trying to work up the courage to reconnect. You destroyed that chance." For once, Margaret's speechless. You'd think that would be the end, but this story's got legs. The news goes national: county commissioner's house demolished by fake HOA. Hashtags trend. Other victims come forward from 3 other states, and Congress debates new laws for HOA oversight. Margaret's trial draws crowds, convicted on 47 counts. sentenced to 8 years, ordered to repay $400,000, banned from ever holding HOA power again. But this isn't just about crime and punishment. A year later, the empty lot where my house once stood becomes a community center, paid for by donations from all over people who'd faced their own HOA nightmares and wanted to help. Michael volunteers every weekend with his husband and their daughter, Emma, who's never had to hide who she is. The prescription bottle sits in a glass case in the lobby, a symbol of secrets, family pain, and the power of truth. Margaret, after years in prison, writes apology letters, does real therapy, and when she's released early for good behavior, Michael leads the way in letting her come back not as an authority, but as a volunteer helping seniors avoid scams. You know what I mean? The very people she once terrorized now watch her like a hawk, but they also see her really try to make things right. 5 years on, our community's the model for democratic governance, victim advocacy, and family healing. Michael runs a clinic for at-risk families, Emma wins awards for her project on family resilience, and Margaret, who once demolished everything to keep control, now helps build memorial gardens and teach fraud prevention. As for me, I drive by that community center every evening, see Margaret tending the flowers, kids playing, neighbors sharing stories, and I remember that all of it started with one small prescription bottle, a little orange container that blew the lid off lies and ended up building something none of us could have imagined. So here's my question for you. If you had the power to fight back after losing everything, would you go for justice or take the path of healing? Drop your thoughts below, because I promise, in this neighborhood, the story's not over yet.